Years of being chief that I can't come up with a couple words. You know, I remember going through the process to become chief, and anytime you're asked to speak publicly, as someone that's new to public speaking, you mumble. After 10 years now, people, they shy away from giving me the mic because they don't know when I'm going to shut up. So here we are. It's been 42 years since our cross paths.
Sure has.
I had the pleasure of breaking bread many times at Leona's house. Her mother was a fabulous cook. Her brother Bull and I were very, very, very close in high school. So we go back generations, myself and your early family, and you couldn't ask for a better family right there in the corner of Green Street, and just wonderful, wonderful family. You know, that's, you know, I think the relationships that I built growing up really transcended to my career in law enforcement. I see people in a different light. You know, it's just how we were growing up, and I think it served me well. You know, here I am, I'm lost for words, because as I was watching you speak, I'm watching you and I could hear Adrian. I'm looking at you and the words are coming out, and I hear Adrian. Adrian was a special person to me. He really was. I think I was chief for 2 weeks, and he showed up at my office and he invited me to the Three Pyramids meeting. And I had known Adrian before that. We worked on several matters during the early 90s when things weren't as rosy in policing during those days. And we still have work to do, but you know, we were transcending in the early 90s. I remember going through the Rodney King incident and having conversation with Adrian about that. And just, we kind of grew up together. And then when I finally got this position of leadership, who was the first person knocking on my door was Adrian. And I remember him sitting in the office and we had conversation, and he welcomed me to the board. And it was probably the greatest acceptance I made in my 10 years as police chief because of the relationships I made through the Three Pyramids. It's served me well and served the city of Fitchburg extremely well. I remember Adrian telling me the Three Pyramids is like going over to someone's house for dinner. You got to be able to sit at a kitchen table and have hard conversations. Adrian made it very clear to me, you're not always going to like what you hear at these meetings. And I said, that's fine, bring it on, because if I'm going to change, I got to hear that. And there was a few meetings that, you know, wearing this uniform wasn't cool. You know, and people were looking at me like, you know, we got some issues with the police. But I sat at the table. I sat at the table with my ears open and I listened. And that's what I continue to bring back to the police station. Looking back on my career, I hope I've had a hand in transforming the way our police officers work in our city. I look at our young generation of cops today, and it's really inspiring. You know, one of the things that I brought to the police department was body cameras. I wanted them to be accountable for everything they do on the street. There's not a second of the day that goes by when my officers are on the street that it's recorded, and they're held to a higher standard. Little things like when the whole substance use disorder matter came out, the first thing I had to do was get rid of the stigma. And I made it clear to my officers, if I ever heard someone calling someone a junkie, they'd be up in my office. Because that's not how we treat people. We treat people with respect, whether they're going through some health issue with substance use disorders. I instilled that you got to treat people the way you want to be treated. And it goes back to having dinner conversations. And Adrian said that to me many, many times. You get more things done at the kitchen table with family, because when you can argue at the table, when you get up, you know what you're doing.